Welcome to the channel Beginner's Paradise. In this video, we will try to understand and bring out the major points of budget 2021 and 22 via 15 charts. Detailed analysis of allocation of finances to various ministries and new regulations will be done in upcoming videos so that we can understand the in-depth analysis of the budget. But this is a brief overview and it'll give you a brief idea as to what major changes and introductions have been made in this particular budget. Let's quickly take a look at the major allocations to different ministries. All the amount is in crores rupees. Ministry of Defense clearly has the largest amount of allocation funds. I'll give you 2 seconds to keep a look. The major allocations that needs to be looked at are Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Again, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has seen a significant up from previous years. We'll go into that. And again, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare has also seen upward spending of allocation of funds. Ministry of Rural Development has it comes at 4th position at 1,33,690 crores. I'll pause for 2 seconds. Please take a look at all of them. Let's move. Expenditure of health as percentage of GDP. So we can clearly see that from 2014-15, 1.2% was the health expenditure as percentage of GDP, but in 2020 and 21 it has gone up to 1.8% of the GDP. In fact, health spending increases by 135%. It aims to improve public health systems and fund a huge vaccination drive to immunize 1.3 billion people. India currently spends about 1% of GDP on health, among the lowest for any major economy. So increasing expenditure on health is always a welcome step. Next, a big boost to highway projects from 1.3 lakh crore highway projects for Tamil Nadu to 65,000 crore worth for Kerala. Four poll-bound states found special mention in the budget space of the finance minister. As we can clearly see, from financial year 2015 to financial year 2019, the road construction per day in kilometer has seen a significant increase from 12 to 30. So every day there was 12 kilometers of road were being constructed back in 2015, but in 2019 it went up to 30 kilometers per day. But it saw a decline then onwards. That is perhaps because of the COVID-19. But financial year 21, it is currently at 22 kilometers per day, which is set to ride. But a massive boost to especially 4 states. All of them are poll bound, so it can be called a bit of a political hot shot. It was 1.3 lakh crore highway project for Tamil Nadu and 65,000 crore for Kerala. All right. So now let's look at the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has seen an increase of 5.63% more budget. That is 5.63% more budgetary allocation compared to previous year at 1,31,531 crores for 2021-22, half of which will go to PM Kisan scheme. PM Kisan scheme again is about giving basic minimum income to marginal farmers. It is supposed to give 6,000 rupees to farmers, to marginal farmers, in 3 installments directly into their accounts. So half of the allocation of Ministry of Agriculture is going to go to PM Kisan scheme. Again, the MSP, you could clearly see the red is for paddy and the blue is for wheat. The left hand side is again for paddy, and the right hand side is for wheat. So you can see that both wheat and paddy has had great disparities back in 2010 and 11, but by the time 2019, 20, 2021, both have been allocated similar amount of money for procurement. The government payment on wheat procurement has increased to 62,802 crores in 2019-20, and even better in this year 2020-21 from the level of 33,374 crore in 2013 and 2014. So the procurement of wheat, in a nutshell, if I speak, the procurement of wheat has significantly gone higher, and the benefit to farmers has gone significantly higher in the last 7 to 8 years. Also, about 43.36 lakh wheat growers have benefited from the MSP payment in 2020-21, as against 35.57 lakhs in the last year. So roughly speaking, there are 8 lakh more farmers now benefited through the procurement of wheat via MSP. Similar is the case for rice procurement. It has increased to 1,41,930 crores in 2019 and 20 to estimated 1,72,000 crores 752. So basically 30,000 crore of increase in last 1 year has in the procurement of rice. So in a nutshell, if I speak, the procurement of both rice and wheat has gone significantly higher, covering more number of farmers rather than simply benefiting the big farmers. The MSP regime again has undergone a change to assure price that is at least 1.5 times the cost of production across all commodities. So if you were to spend 100 rupees for 1 acre of wheat, the farmers are now assured of getting 150 rupees by the government. The procurement has continued to increase at a steady pace. This has resulted in an increase in payment of farmers substantially. So this in a nutshell can be said that MSP has only been strengthened through this budget. So let's now take a look at the revenue and expenditure aspect of the budget. So how does India generates its revenue? Where does government of India gets its money to spend? Let's quickly, we have a pie chart in front of us which clearly shows which area is most important source of revenue for the government of India. So the most important source of revenue for the government of India, clearly, as you can see, is borrowings and other liabilities. That is 36% of all the revenue comes from borrowing and other liabilities. Center's borrowing and liabilities has been the highest source from which money has come into the economy. Next up is GST collection at 15%. GST in 2020 has seen an unprecedented amount of revenue generation, and it has surpassed income tax as the second most important source of revenue generation for government of India. Next up is income tax. 14% of revenue generation of government of India is through income tax, and rest 13% is from corporation tax. Then union excise duty is 8%. Rest of it is customs 3%, non-debt capital receipts 5%, non-debt capital receipts as in FDIs, FIIs and all those investments. Non-tax tax revenues are 6%. So let's in the next slide see how do we spend our money and where exactly do we allocate most of our. This chart will show us where government of India spends most of the revenue that it generates. So most of our revenue, majority of our revenue, the biggest chunk of our money goes to interest payment on all the debts and borrowings that we have done from within India and outside India. The next most important source of expenditure that government of India has is state share of taxes and duties. That is 16% of all the revenue that union or center generates. 16% of that goes to states share of taxes and duties. The next most important, most significant amount of expenditure is 14% goes to central sector schemes, those schemes that are entirely run by center, entirely funded by center. Central sector schemes cost India 14% of all the revenue that it generates. Finance Commission and other transfers. So Finance Commission orders transfer to certain states, certain organizations, certain tribunals, and certain fiscal transfers that Finance Commission recommends. 10% of our revenue goes through that transfer. Other expenditure are 10%, subsidies are 8% of our revenue. So all the revenue that India generates, 8% goes into subsidy, 8% goes into defense. So you would see all the hue and cry about how much we spend upon defense, and India should focus more upon poverty reduction and all that. But we fail to forget that our defense expenditure, the revenue expenditure on our defense, is as equal to the revenue expenditure on subsidies. Anyway, moving on. The pensions, the retired personnel's pension is 5% of the revenue generation of the nation. So once again, let's quickly look. Interest payment is 20%, state share of taxes 16%, central sector schemes 14%, Finance Commission related transfer are 10%. Rest you can see pension, defense, subsidies, and other expenditures. Let's now quickly look at the taxation system and taxation proposals in this budget. So most importantly, senior citizens above 75 years of age with only pension and interest income have been exempted from filing returns. So they don't need to file returns. The bank that pays them all the pension and their interest income will automatically deduct tax on their income. A number of income tax return filers has increased to 6.48 crores now from 3.48 crores. So almost 3 crore people have started filing income tax return more when compared to 2014, which augurs amazingly well for a largely informal economy. Now there has been a setup of a dispute resolution committee that'll be constituted for small taxpayers, that'll be faceless, to ensure efficiency, transparency, and accountability. So again, two things are here to look right now. Is for dispute resolution committee is for small taxpayer first of all, and then it will be faceless as well. All right, this will be completely faceless to aid the transparency, accountability, and efficiency. Anyone with a taxable income of up to 50 lakhs and disputable income up to 10 lakhs shall be eligible to approach the committee. Again, the committee can be approached by people who have taxable income of say up to 50 lakhs and beyond, and people who have disputed income up to 10 lakhs and beyond. Now, eligibility for claiming tax holidays for startups has been proposed and is being extended by 1 more year. There were 5 years of tax holidays were given to startups to boost their presence in our ecosystem, economic ecosystem. That tax holiday has been extended by 1 more year. These are the major things. Rest I'll pause for 5 seconds for you to quickly read what's already written in the chart. Now let's look at the capital expenditure aspect, which is set to rise. By the way, the government capital expenditure as a proportion of GDP is set to pick up from 1.7% in financial year 2020 to 2.3% in financial year 2021 and further to 2.5% in financial year 22. Now, this is a 17-year high figure, and it is going to enhance the medium term growth prospect of Indian economy. Now let's quickly see what exactly is capital expenditure. As you can see, the allocation is around, in this year's allocation is 5,54,000 crores, lakh crores. As you can see, the figures are in lakh crores, of 5.54 lakh crore rupees has been allocated for capital expenditure. So let's quickly see the definition of capital expenditure first. Capital expenditure, the abbreviation is CapEx. CapEx refers to funds that are used by a company or an organization or a nation for purchase, improvement, or maintenance of long-term assets. So this is the key word here, long-term assets. Its maintenance or inception or its improvement or purchase of long-term assets are considered capital expenditure. Long-term assets are usually, not always, but usually physical, non-consumable items such as property, equipments, or infrastructure. So increase in capital expenditure in a layman term can be understood to be an increase for infrastructural development in the nation. So an increase of 2.3% augurs really well for the infrastructurally hungry India, and we need a lot more money to go into it. But for the time being, it's a great initiative from our finance minister. Let's quickly look at the fiscal deficit aspect of our economy. So fiscal deficit, as you can see, in 2014-15 was around 4%, which went soaring in 2019-20 to almost 9%, but has since been coming down, and at this point has been projected to halt at 6.80% for the next coming year. 6.80% is still very high, but that has been projected. But here's the catch: the industry intelligentsia is saying that 6.80 is very optimistic. Fiscal deficit, according to them, will soar to 9.5% at least, which means the graph will roughly look like this and not this. All right, so at this, according to industry intelligentsia, it will be somewhere here. Let's quickly see what exactly is fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit is, roughly speaking, a difference between the total income of the government and its total expenditure. As we have seen in previous slides, how India earns its money, how it spends its money. So the difference between the earning and spending is fiscal deficit. Recurring fiscal deficit simply means that government has been spending beyond its means. Government spends more than it generates the revenue. All right, the government estimate fiscal deficit of 6.8% of the GDP in the next fiscal year. So this is the government estimate, 6.80%. However, due to COVID-19 outbreak and moderation in revenue, the fiscal deficit, as I said, is considered and is likely to soar up to 9.5%. That remains to be seen, by the way, but the government's analysis and future government wants to say that the fiscal deficit for the year 2021-22 would be 6.8%. Let's quickly see the status of foreign direct investment in India. As we can clearly see, this is by the way, the quarterly data. Every quarter, one quarter is 3 months. So in 2019-20 quarter 4, there was 12% FDI in India, but that went to minus in 2020-21 quarter 1 due to COVID. But again in quarter 2, it has seen an unprecedented improvement, and right now for quarter 2 it is at 24.60%. The increase is also because the anti-China sentiment throughout the global market. But anyway, that is a great news for India. So FDI ecosystem and FDI sentiment is going great for the time being. Let's quickly look at the national infrastructure pipeline. That is all the infrastructure in various sectors that is clubbed under national infrastructure pipeline, and the allocation of funds are 5.54 lakh crores at this point of time, which is higher than previous year by almost 35%. It is 35% higher than previous years. It is simply for infrastructural boost to our economy. So we'll see 12% of it is allocated to railways for infrastructure boost, urban infrastructure 17%, road infrastructure 18%, energy infrastructure 24%, others 29%. So this is the national infrastructure pipeline and various sectors covered under it, which will boost the infrastructural aspect of our. Let's take a quick look at the major allocation to our schemes. Manrega, as you can clearly see, the expenditure and allocation to Manrega has been decreased significantly, compared to previous year, which was more than 120,000 crore to now roughly 76 crores. Now next is National Education Mission. National Education Mission allocation was around 25 crores, which has now moved up to almost 35,000 crores. So an increase in educational mission by almost 10,000 crores. Metro project. There are two metro projects for infrastructural push in tier 2 cities, and two new technologies has been talked about, that is Metro Light and Metro Neo. That is Metro Light and Metro Neo. This is both of them have been talked about for tier 2 cities. So Manrega has been decreased. National Education Mission, the funding has increased, and metro project in tier 2 cities has seen a massive increase from its compared to previous year. Last but not the least, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Various sectors have come under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, such as atomic energy, space and defense, transport and telecommunications, power and petroleum, coal and other minerals, banking, insurance and financial services. So there are 5 subheadings. Government reforms are about increasing borrowing limits of state governments. So the limit has been increased. State governments' borrowing limits have been increased. Privatization of public sector enterprises. So all the PSUs can see further privatization. MSME and industry. Collateral free loan for MSMEs, that has been the norm for quite a few previous budgets as well. So if there is an MSME, it does not need to give a collateral for loans. Fund of funds to be set up for MSMEs. MSME is like there'll be a separate fund set up to fund all those banks and schemes that provide loans to MSMEs. PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, subordinate debt for MSMEs, disallowing global tenders of up to 200 crores. Change in definition of MSMEs. So there'll be a change in definition of MSMEs to perhaps make it more broader definition, so that better accommodation and more diverse accommodation of industries can be put into the bracket of MSMEs. Agricultural and allied sectors. So concessional credit boost to farmer, agri infrastructure fund. So all the infrastructure related to agriculture, there'll be a separate fund for that. Emergency working capital for farmers. So working capital, like there will be emergency funds where they can get instant loan approvals. Animal husbandry infrastructure development for animal husbandry and related aspects. Amendment to the Essential Commodities Act. That has been a cause of concern for farm laws and everything. So Essential Commodities Act will be amended, agriculture marketing reforms, so APMC reforms. All of both of these can I have discussed in my farm law videos. You can go and check that. Migrant workers, so there'll be one nation one card. So no different states will not have different cards. So previously what used to happen, if a migrant from Bihar is in Kerala, he cannot have his ration from free subsidized money because he was registered in Bihar. So right now the government wants to do is one nation one card. So even if a migrant worker of one state is in other state, he can take his quota of ration from fair price shops. That's the idea of one nation one card. Free food grain supply to migrants. So migrants have been given a special mention here. As we had seen during the COVID, they had to feel the heat of the COVID the most, and that's why free food grain supply to migrants has been an important part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Energy then. Liquidity support to discoms. Liquidity support is the financial support. Elimination of regulatory assets. Commercial coal mining, it will be commercialized more and privatized in that sense. Reduction in cross subsidies, so unnecessarily subsidizing all those energy, like subsidizing the free electricities and then subsidizing those discoms. So all the money that is being wasted in cross subsidies will be reduced. So this is the aspect of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. There are a lot more to come on budget, but this was the brief overview of what exactly this budget holds new from the previous year budgets. Please stay tuned for more such videos on budget. Will be detailed discussions on defense, agriculture, and all those videos will come in few days. Please do consider liking and subscribing to the channel Beginners Paradise. More such videos. Have a great day.